everyone. Welcome to Barca News. It is May 15th, 2026. And ladies and gentlemen, the Union of Referees has filed a complaint against Florentino Perez. Also, Deco has flown to London to hold talks with Joao Pedro. And finally, Ronald Araujo set to stay at Barcelona. We have a lot to discuss, so let's begin. Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Boo, and welcome to the Barca News Live podcast, which is on every Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, where not only we discuss Barcelona news, but where I also get to interact with you lovely people in the chat section by reading your comments, answering any questions, and, well, reacting to your comments live pretty much. So start filling out the chat section with your comments, your questions, whatever you want to share with the rest of us, so we could get this going. For those of you who'll be watching when the podcast ends, I will be putting timestamps in the description and chapters in the timeline in case you do want to skip through the discussion and get straight into the news, even though I do recommend against it because obviously the discussion is always the best part of the podcast. Having said all of that, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment. All that helps the channel continue to grow. If you're looking for any Barcelona jerseys, merchandise, or any other football team jerseys or merchandise, you can head to Kitbag. If you're looking for any sports merchandise, football, basketball, American football, that's what I meant, basketball, etc., you can head to Fanatics. And if you're looking to place any sports bets, not just on Barca matches, but on any sporting event around the world, you can head to Bet Us. All links are down below in the description. You click on them, you get access to some pretty cool deals and offers, courtesy of Barca News. And of course, these deals and offers you would not get if you just went straight into those websites without clicking on the links in the description. All right, let's begin with the news. By the way, today I'm happy because today is Friday. Podcast day is already my favorite days because I get to talk to you guys live. But then you add to that fact that it's Friday, it's the weekend. Man, I'm double happy, right? Podcast, Friday, put them together. It's a great freaking time. All right, let's begin with the news. And let's talk about UEFA because, ladies and gentlemen, UEFA has fined Barcelona. Yes, another fine courtesy of UEFA. This one is worth 22,500 euros or 22,500 euros. Yeah, that's what I said, right? Yeah, 22,500 euros. And it's as a result of the Atletico Madrid Champions League match that took place on April 14th. And the fine is for two reasons. Number one reason is because Barcelona came out of the tunnel, the locker room 3 minutes late after the halftime. $20,000 to Barcelona for that. And then the second reason for the fine, which was the other 2,500, is because the supporter section had used fireworks or there were flares in the stands, which of course is prohibited by UEFA. Now, as far as coming out late from the locker room, you might recall from previous podcasts or previous videos, I told you about how Hansi Flick had come out late during, I think, 2 matches or 1 match. I can't remember, but he had, I think, come out late twice. So, of course, UEFA had warned Barcelona saying, okay, we're not going to fine you. This is just a warning. If you do it again, we will fine you. And it looks like the players did it again. And Flick did it again 3 minutes late. So, Barcelona fined 20,000. And again, the other 2,500 because of the flares used in the stand. So 22,500 fine by UEFA, which of course for Barcelona, not a lot of money. But nonetheless, I feel like this could be avoided. Maybe not so much the fans. Sure, you can increase security, make sure people are not sneaking flares through, but people are always going to find ways, sticking them up their butt. However they do it, I don't know. Somehow, some way they'll find ways. But as far as, coming out late from the locker room, you've already been warned. Why do it again? Why get the fine? And, those fines keep increasing, of course. So it might be 20,000 this time for coming out late, but it could be much more in the future if Hansi Flick and the players keep doing it. So hopefully Flick and the players have learned the lesson because, we cannot be getting fines for really silly reasons. Anyways, that is all for the first segment. I know, pretty short first segment, but that's okay because we have some very interesting news following up. Starting with that, Florentino Perez is being sued, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, because of course you can't go around saying whatever the hell you want without any repercussions. But we'll talk about it a little bit more. But first, let's do a few comments and then we'll jump into the segment about Florentino Perez. Let's start with Martin's comments, who says, Mo, when are we going on the live? Right now. You're in it. Enjoy. Nathan says, hi, Mo. Happy Friday. Now that we know about Real Madrid's financial situation, now what is Barcelona's financial status and who are the players that are leaving the club and get new signings? Well, I discussed Barcelona's financial situation in previous video. I don't want to be repetitive. This is a special video about what we need to achieve the 1-to-1 rule. And as far as more detailed financial situation of Barcelona, of course, June 30th, that will be the end of the fiscal year. That's when Barcelona will close its fiscal year. Not only will Barcelona present that paperwork to La Liga so they can get their new financial fair play, aka their new salary limit that they can spend, but also they'll present that to the Socis in a general assembly. And of course, that's when we're going to know specific details about the whole fiscal year, how much money Barcelona made, how much money they spend, whether we made money, whether we lost money, whether we broke even, how much we spent on player salaries, how much we spent on signings, on sales, etc., etc., etc. So for more detailed breakdown of Barcelona's finances, we're going to have to wait until after June 30th. And of course, as always, every year I discuss that here on the channel. So make sure you're subscribed and you have that bell turned on so you can get the notification whenever there's a new video. And Java the Hut says Real Madrid fans are the most delusional people. They trust the president who's clearly a dictator, doesn't take any responsibility, blames everyone else, especially Barca, and wants you to follow him no matter what. But here's the thing. There's a lot of Barca fans are like that too, right? It's kind of like, what's that saying about glass house? You know, shouldn't throw stones if you live in the glass house, something like that. And that's kind of like something I've been dealing with for years here, right? Whenever I criticize Laporta and here comes his bootlickers, attacking me. And it's like, it's pretty much the same. But for some reason, Barca fans only see it when other clubs do it, but not when they do it themselves, right? They see it how Florentino does something bad and his bootlicker fans come out and defend and they deny and they act like nothing's happening. Well, there's a lot of Barca fans who do the same with Laporta, right? Same thing with coaches, right? How many Real Madrid fans are like, oh, Arbeloa, great coach. Even though obviously he's not, I wouldn't even consider him a coach, let alone a great or a bad one. And Barca fans are like, oh, look at the Real Madrid fans and Arbeloa. A lot of you did the same thing with Xabi, you know what I mean? So, it's easy to point fingers, but I think it's more important to we look inward so we don't do the same thing. So when Laporta comes out and does something shady, we're not like, oh, see no evil, hear no evil. It's like, no, we need to hold anybody that comes through this club accountable. Doesn't matter if it's a president, board of directors, coach, players, anybody who comes to the club needs to be held accountable. And they will get applauded when they do good things, but when they do bad things, they need to be criticized and they need to be held accountable. So I hope that those Laporta bootlickers are watching Real Madrid and what they're doing with Florentino and hopefully realizing, oh, wow, those guys look pretty stupid. I'm stupid too because I do the same thing. Hopefully, but of course, that's hoping for a lot because usually stupid people don't realize they're being stupid. They might see it in other people, but they don't realize it in themselves. Gomez says, good to catch you, Mo, watching from Zambia. Let's go. Africa in the house. Do you think Jules Koundé would pick his form next season or I'd better selling him? Excuse me. And what's your comment on the rumors of Balde going into Atletico Madrid? There's no truth to any rumors of Balde going anywhere. I haven't heard of anything about Balde going to Atletico, but Balde has made it very clear he wants to stay in Barca. Flick has no intention of getting rid of Balde. So I haven't heard anything about Balde going to Atletico, but I can tell you right now that there's no truth to it because Balde wants to stay, and of course Flick wants him to stay. As far as Koundé, can he pick his form? I hope so. Right? I don't have a crystal ball. I cannot see the future, but I'll tell you this. Koundé has shown us that he has the capability of being an incredible fullback. He's done it in several seasons before. So can he return to that? Sure. You don't forget how to play football overnight. You don't lose your skill or talent overnight, right? So it's obviously in him. It's a matter of him wanting to play his best, being hungry enough for wins. So can he do it? Sure. Will he? I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see. I'll tell you this. Eric Garcia has done a much better job as a right back than Koundé has this season. So what I would do, I would start Eddie Garcia. Same thing with Cancelo, right? If we end up keeping him, start Cancelo on the left, Eddie Garcia on the right. And then tell Balde and Kunde, you guys want your spots back? All right. Show me what you got, right? And we know they're both incredible fullbacks, right? People forget that Kunde has been amazing since we signed him up until this season. People forget that Balde has been amazing since he debuted up until this season, right? So they're obviously skilled. They're obviously talented. They have what it takes to be Barcelona fullbacks. But this season, for some reason or the other, I don't know if it was the lack of competition, lack of hunger. I don't know what it is, but they stopped performing. So put him on the bench. Start Cancelo on the left. Start Eddie Garcia. Kunde and Balde want their spots back. They better work their asses off for them back. We don't hand things out. This is FC Barcelona, not a handout club. And if Kunde doesn't, then yeah, sell him. Balde doesn't by next season, same thing. Sell him. The Rebel Pilot says, I mentioned this in one of your previous videos, but have you seen the Bernabeu security yank away the banner saying Florentino culpa and Florentino fuera? It was absolutely hilarious. Yeah, man. Their security was, and by the way, it's not the first time. All through this season, there's been a lot of matches where people have been taking banners to kind of like to protest Florentino. And that instruction has been very clear. Like, A, don't allow those banners in. And if somehow, some way they sneak them in, be on the lookout. Immediately tear them up. Immediately, kick them out. And yeah, I did see all the footage, all the videos of people taking banners asking Florentino to resign, and security, like as soon as those banners would appear, the security would be right on top trying to tear it up. So yeah, I have seen it. It's sad, but hey, that's what's going on with Madrid. Jose Fernandez says, Mo, with Cortez's performance and potential, and if we extend Christian, do we need Bastoni? That's a tough question. Here's the thing. Would we need him with so many center backs? No, because we have so many center backs. But what Bastoni could give us is that experience, right? He has that experience that someone like Cubarsí lacks, that someone like Gerard Martin lacks, that someone like Cortez lacks, right? So it would be nice to bring in someone like Bastoni with experience that can teach these youngsters and elevate them by passing on their experience, right? But when you go and renew someone like Christensen, you're like, well, what the hell are we doing here? And that, of course, that leaves, a spot full. And now you're like, okay, maybe we don't need Bastoni, even though we do. But why don't we need him? Because you just renewed someone that you shouldn't have. So yes and no. I know it's not a clear answer, but yes, we need him for his experience. But if we end up with so many center backs, then no, we don't need him, because what are we going to do with so many center backs, right? And Fecker says neither Alvarez nor Bastoni will come to Barcelona. The super player will be a left winger. DC will be Senesi. Then will be Oyarzabal, Bernardo, and Joao Pedro or Aslani. Okay, so Senesi has already signed with Tottenham. I see a lot of people keep talking about Senesi that. Like I said many times before, Senesi does not want to leave the Premier League. He wants to stay in the Premier League, period. Second of all, he already agreed to join Tottenham. So Senesi's not coming. Let's get that out of our head. Oyarzabal, what the hell are we going to do with Oyarzabal? Is he going to come to clean the locker room or hand out bottles of water? Isn't the guy 35? Let me see. Mikel Oyarzabal. He's actually 29. Well, he sure plays like he's 35. But yeah, what the hell are we going to do with Oyarzabal? Oyarzabal's not going to leave Real Sociedad. These Basque players are, they're hardcore fans of their clubs. And again, what the hell are we going to do with Oyarzabal? I mean, the guy is good at Real Sociedad. And sure, he turns into prime Ronaldo Nazario against us, but we need quality players who can win us the Champions League, not players who are good at mid-table teams. As far as Joao Pedro, we'll talk about him in a little bit. If you're talking about Bernardo Silva, same question. What do we need him for? Do we need people to hand out bottles of water? Because the best years of Bernardo Silva are way behind him. And Real Football says, as a Barca fan, you haven't told us what's your transfer opinion. While need a striker, center back, left winger, and potentially a second right winger. If Bargi leaves, what are your realistic picks for these positions? I've talked about these before several times. As far as realistically speaking, based on the finances, what my opinion was, you sign, what's his face? Vlahovic on a free, even though under normal circumstances, I would never sign Vlahovic, right? But given that he would be free, our finances are awful. Flick is a miracle worker, and who knows, he can turn Vlahovic back into his, his Fiorentina version. Sign him on free. That leaves plenty of money for the left wing and for the center back. You can sign Bastoni, no problem. And then for the left wing, you can actually sign Barcola, believe it or not. But that would be my ideal picks. Hell, I would even skip Bastoni. I would sign Vlahovic for the center forward and bring Barcola. 70 million euros. That's a steal. That's a steal. And if I had to skip Bastoni to bring Barcola, I would do it. But if you bring Vlahovic for free, you still have enough money to sign Bastoni and Barcola. But again, if I had to pick between Bastoni and Barcola, bro, Barcola any day of the week. Let's see. Oh, we got a special occasion. Nimo who says, hey, Mo, congratulations to me. I made it. Today is my graduation. Let's fucking go. Oh, wait. Why is this not playing? Is it playing? Oh, it's on mute. Is that why? Wait, do you guys hear the air horn? Because I'm not hearing it. There we go. Congratulations, Nemo, on your graduations. That's absolutely freaking amazing. Let's all congratulate Nemo on this amazing milestone on his graduation. May God bring you more and more success and blessings. And here's another applause because you deserve it. Let's fucking go! All right, and on that positive note, let's move on to another positive note because we do have to talk about old grandpa Florentino Perez, who forgot to take his meds, went on a rant, and then realized, hey, you can't just go on rants and accuse people of shit you have no evidence of, because guess what? They are legal consequences, my friend. If you don't know what I'm talking about because your name is Mowgli and you were raised by wolves in the jungle and you don't have YouTube, well, let me summarize this up for you because we talked about this in the channel several times. But a few days ago, Florentino Perez met with his board of directors, kind of like an emergency meeting, given that the team is falling apart. And then after the emergency meeting, he called for a surprise press conference. Everybody thought Florentino was going to come out and assume responsibility for the disastrous season that they had, second season in a row, trophyless. The players are all fighting each other, punching each other in the faces. You've gone through 3 coaches in less than 12 months. The club is in financial trouble, 1.5 billion euro debt. The stadium is a freaking joke. And they thought Florentino Perez was going to come out and, give solutions, admit fault. Hey, I'm sorry, I fucked up. These are the mistakes I made, but don't worry, I got solutions. Things are going to get better. No, instead, he got up there and, made a fool of himself, accusing everything on Barcelona, saying that he won 7 La Ligas and 7 Champions League, and he could have had 14 because 7 of those La Ligas were stolen from him, and that he wasn't gonna, and that he didn't want to see, the referees making money off Barcelona and getting rich off Barcelona. Pretty much went off on a rant talking about how the referees have robbed Real Madrid and Negreira this and Negreira that, which of course, that, my friend, is called defamation. You can't just go up there and call people corrupt and saying that they took money and they got rich because Barcelona bribed them and that they stole ligas from Real Madrid. And lo and behold, today the referees union in Spain, which is known by its Spanish initial as the ASAF, AESAF, have submitted an official complaint to the committee or the competition committee, which is kind of like a judicial administrative body of the competition. Now, this is the official statement by ASAF, who have filed this complaint, saying the Spanish Association of Football Referees denounces the statements made by the president of Real Madrid in the press conference of May 12th and in the interview broadcast on La Sexta on May 13th, 2026, in which he accused the refereeing establishment of systemic corruption, theft of titles, and illicit enrichment. ASAP believes that these statements cannot be justified under the legitimate exercise of freedom of expression or sports criticism, given that Mr. Perez does not merely point out isolated refereeing errors, but rather accuses the refereeing body of perpetrating a continuous crime of corruption over 2 decades. Furthermore, ASAF emphasizes that the president of Real Madrid acts at all times as the highest institutional representative of one of the world's most high-profile clubs, which amplifies the damaging impact of his words and increases his responsibility. ASAF also requests that the competition committee, as a precautionary and urgent measure, order Mr. Perez to cease issuing similar statements while the proceedings are underway, that he be required to compensate the refereeing association for the moral, reputational, and professional damage caused, and that Real Madrid be required to issue a public statement of rectification and apology. In opinion of the ASAF, Mr. Perez's statements constitute a serious, unjustified, and systematic attack on the professional and institutional honor of the refereeing association without any basis in a final judicial ruling. ASAF, in fulfilling its statutory function of defending the refereeing profession, has acted with the utmost diligence to protect the dignity and moral integrity of football referees in Spain. So that's the official statement of ASAF, ladies and gentlemen, who have filed an official complaint against Florentino Perez, requesting that A, he stop saying the dumb shit that he continues to say, B, that Real Madrid issue a statement as a club rectifying their statement, and 3, that of course that they pay the not the referees, but the association for the reputational damage that Florentino Perez has caused. Because, ladies and gentlemen, you cannot go around accusing people with no evidence. I cannot say, hey, Jose Fernandez, you stole my car. You're a car thief. Because that, ladies and gentlemen, is defamation. Unless, of course, I actually have evidence that Jose Fernandez stole my car. For example, on the arrest and, he was arrested, charged, and found guilty. Or if maybe I have a video of him stealing my car, that's different. They can't just go around accusing people of things without a shred of evidence of committing a crime. So, my friend, Florentino Perez, you should know this. Words have consequences. And, well, this is one of many consequences that I'm sure you're going to face, because now that ASAF has filed this, well, as you know, Barcelona are already studying the possibilities of also filing their own legal action against Florentino Perez and Real Madrid, because, again, you can't go around making claims, baseless claims, accusing people of things when you have absolutely no evidence of doing so. So, we'll see if Florentino Perez learns his lesson or whether he keeps running his mouth. Hopefully he does. That way he can get more and more trouble, because it's about time that someone put a stop to Florentino Perez, because you guys might just remember this last version of Florentino, the old decrepit man saying crazy things. But for the longest time, for decades, Florentino Perez did what he wanted in Spain. He had all the power in football. In fact, he took out TV stations. For example, before El Chiringuito existed, there used to be a TV show called El Rondo, which was the biggest TV show in Spain. Florentino Perez single-handedly destroyed that program. He single-handedly put El Chiringuito in the place of El Rondo. That way he can have a mouthpiece. And forever, for decades, Florentino Perez has always controlled the narrative. He controlled all the TV stations. He controlled what the media said and didn't say. And pretty much the media was his puppet. But now he is losing power, because thanks to YouTube, social media, well, you no longer can bend everybody to your will. You can do it with TV stations, because TV stations need sponsors. And you call, hey, I don't like what that guy said. You guys better retract it, or you guys better fire him. Well, guess what? I'm withholding the sponsorship money. But when you talk about, like, for example, a guy like me, who I have a mic, a camera, I can say whatever the fuck I want. Someone like Florentino Perez, well, cannot touch me. What is he going to do? Call me and say, please stop making videos? I'm going to tell him, hey, old man, go take your meds and fuck off, right? So Florentino Perez is losing power, and this is just another example of how he's losing power with this legal complaint against him, and hopefully many more will follow. And I think he knows he's losing power, and this is why he went on that unhinged rant, because he feels like he's losing power, and in his desperation went off that rant, which, by the way, was pretty hilarious to watch. I was like, it was like, when you're at Thanksgiving dinner and you have that crazy uncle that nobody talks to, but you still invite to Thanksgiving dinner because, it's family time, and he's a little racist and a little sexist, and then he gets drunk. and he starts going off on rants, and everybody's looking at him like, oh my God, why did we invite this guy? He's fucking nuts. That was pretty much the press conference. I saw it. Go see it if you haven't. It's pretty hilarious. But anyways, that is all. Let's move on. Let's move back to the comment section. And then we are going to talk about Joao Pedro, because big news. Deco traveling to London, ladies and gentlemen, to meet with Joao Pedro. We're going to talk about that. Costa says, let's buy 5% of Real Madrid to own them on the pitch and on the pitch. I mean, that'd be nice, but we don't have money to sign players, let alone buy a stake in another club. Sulaiman says, hey, Mo, how you doing today? We are already looking forward towards the beginning of the season, hopefully with some good signings. Bisca Barca. Amen, my friend. I think we have an incredible core of players and an incredible core of a team and a coach that, as you can see, we can dominate on a Spanish level. But now, with a few signings, I think we can start dominating on a European level. So I'm very excited for that. Hopefully, we make the right moves this summer transfer market, because with the right moves, I think we can go the next step, which is, of course, competing and succeeding at the European level. Let's see. P4K Chema says, Madrid News said there will be 4 to 5 signings this summer for them. How is that possible with the situation? Clearly, Tebas has to step in and say something about financial fair play, or are we only ones? I mean, look, I cannot talk about what Madrid News is saying because I don't know. I don't follow that club. I don't know where that news is coming from. I don't know if it's real news, if it's not real news. I don't know. So I cannot say, yes, Tebas should step in, when I don't even know if that news of Madrid signing 4 to 5 players is real, right? If it was Barca, I would tell you if the news is real or not, or at least I would think that I could to a certain level, because I usually, by now, I'm pretty familiar with what sources are out there and what sources are reliable and what sources are not. As far as Madrid news, I don't know, so I have no idea. So I can't give you an opinion about something that I know nothing about. And Selvin says, you're asking for something that's practically impossible. Stupid people will never come to their senses, man. All we can do is support the club. That's a good point, my friend. That is a good point. Let's see. Messi Super Ballon d'Or says, 3 players we should sell this summer transfer window. For me, Ansu, Ferran, Iñaki. Well, Ansu's done, right? Monaco's going to activate the clause, the option to buy. It's practically done. It's just a matter of them reaching an agreement with Ansu himself, because he has to reduce his salary. Otherwise, Monaco cannot afford it. So that is done. So I wouldn't even count Ansu there. I don't think we can sell Ferran, and I'll tell you why. As much as I would love to sell Ferran, I've been wanting to sell Ferran since like the following day that we signed him. But here is why. We only have money for one center forward. Right. In an ideal world, if Barcelona were financially healthy and our financial fair play was amazing, everything was great, and the birds are singing and the flowers are blooming and everything is amazing, we would be able to sign a world-class center forward and a substitute for that center forward so he can rotate. Unfortunately, that's not the case. We don't have money, and our financial fair play is shit. So we can only sign one center forward, which means that center forward is going to need a backup. Who's going to be the backup? It's either Lewy or Ferran. Lewy, I love him, but he is old. Okay. Ferran, I hate him. He fucking sucks. But at least his work rate is 10 times that of Lewy. Not because he's better than Lewy, but because he's much, much younger than Lewy, right? I think he's like 12 years younger or something like that. So even as much as Ferran sucks off the ball, he does put in a lot of work with the press, trying to recover the ball, and every now and then his scores too, right? So because of the work rate, I would choose Ferran over Lewy. Not because of the skills, because obviously Lewy has more skills in his toe than Ferran has in his whole body. So if we sign a center forward, we need a backup for him. It's either Lewy or Ferran, and based on the work rate, it has to be Ferran, right? Again, ideal situation, we get rid of Lewy and Ferran, and we bring 2 center forwards. But unfortunately, we're not there. So who would I sell? Let me see. I think Iñaki would be a good sale. Obviously, Ter Stegen needs to go as well. So that's 2 sales right there. Let me think who else. Obviously, Lewy I can't count because it would be, his contract would be expire. Christensen, what the fuck are we doing? Just let his contract expire. Rashford, we're not really selling because his loan would expire, so just let it expire. Let me think. I'll send Rooney on loan. Frankie. I think if we sell Frankie, right now he's worth a lot, and with his sale, we're talking about big. We could go make a big signing. And is Frankie good for the team? Yes. Is it nice to have? Yes. Is it a must? No. We have plenty of players who can cover that position. And out of all those players right now, Frankie's probably the one who has the most value. So that you can sell, right? Because obviously Pedri has a lot more value, but we're not going to sell Pedri. So I think that Frankie would be a great sale. You could sell him for between 70 to 90 mil and go sign a great center forward or a great left winger. And again, is it nice to have Frankie? Absolutely. But do we have to have him? No. This is kind of like having several nice cars, right? And, and if you sell one of them, is it nice to have that car? Sure, of course. It's another car that you have. It's a sports car. You have it. But do you need it? No, because you have other cars. And you could use the other cars. So, that's my opinion. Big Barca says, Mo, can you agree there are players we should keep for depth and rotation to keep important players fresh for Champions League? We cannot afford to sell a lot of players in the squad, of course. And this is like a perfect example, Ferran Torres, right? Like I was saying, do I want to keep Ferran? Fuck no. I think he sucks. I think he should have never been signed. And even though we signed him, we should have sold him the following day. But we're going to need to keep him because, we can only sign one center forward. And that center forward is going to need a backup, right? That center forward is not going to be able to play 90 minutes of every single match, So in like bottom matches against mid to bottom of the table team, we can play Ferran and let whoever center forward we sign rest for the big matches like the Champions League and Real Madrid and Atletico Madrid. So yeah, 100%, I agree. Let's see. Plus, you can't have, 22 stars, right? You can have 11 starting stars and 11 substitute stars. It just doesn't work. First of all, it's not feasible, right? Signing 22 stars, you would go broke. Second of all, it wouldn't be allowed. Financial fair play. How are you going to pay for 22 stars? And third of all, it would never work. The locker room would be a hot mess. Everybody would want a star. Everybody would want to be the star. And we would see a Real Madrid locker room. People punching each other in the face. So, yeah. Dwayne says, Mo, you didn't wish the best mother happy Mother's Day for continuing to produce generational talents. Her name is La Masia. Amen, my friend. Amen. Happy Mother's Day to La Masia, the greatest academy in the entire world. To think that there's delusional Madridistas that try to compare La Factoria, which is their academy, to La Masia is just fucking delusional. Delusional. Carla says, what has Balde done? Speaking of delusional. Nothing. Balde hasn't done anything, apparently. Delusional. Costa says, Mo, there are reports stating Eric will be the preferred right back for next year. Do you prefer him as a CDM, CB, or right back? Like I said at the beginning of this podcast, honestly, given how Koundé's form has been, I would definitely start Eric. I'll start Eric, I'll start Cancelo, and I will tell Koundé and Balde, look, you guys have given us great seasons. I know you have it in you. You're very skilled. You're very talented. Show me what you got. If you want your spots back, show me what you got. Koundé, work your ass off if you want to take your spot back from Eric. Balde, do the same for Cancelo, who apparently has never done anything. God, delusional. Jeffrey says, what do you think of Koundé returning to central defense? I think Flick should put him back in the center. Also, sometimes try both him and Araujo. I mean, we already have plenty of center backs. Do we need another one? But anyways, let's move back, or let's go back to the news, because we have a big one. Wait, that's not what I was looking for. I can't find it. Anyways, we have a big news in regards to Joao Pedro. Because, ladies and gentlemen, Deco is set to fly to London, or actually, I already flew to London, in order to hold talks with Joao Pedro's agent. Yes, you heard that right. Deco is in London to hold talks with the agent of the 24-year-old Chelsea attacker, Joao Pedro, who has had a fantastic season with Chelsea, scoring, I think, 20 goals, if I'm not mistaken, all across the competitions. Someone that now is in number one position to replace the center forward. For the longest time, I told you about how the number one option for Barcelona in the center forward position was Julian Alvarez. But as the days have gone by, Barcelona have finally figured it out that, hey, this is not going to happen. On one hand, you have Atletico Madrid, who are pushing very, very hard to renew the contract of Julian Alvarez, extending it by another season, giving him a much higher salary. They want to make him the highest paid player on their squad. Makes sense. I mean, they just struck a partnership with the investment group Apollo. It's an American investment group. That investment group is pouring crazy amounts of money into Atletico Madrid because they want to turn them into, a European giant. And Julian Alvarez is probably the biggest star they have. So, of course, they're not going to sign him just to sell him a year later. No, they want to keep him so he can be part of this project of turning Atletico Madrid into a European giant, which I don't think it's ever going to happen as long as they have that mediocre coach, El Cholo Simeone. So on one hand, you have Atletico Madrid pushing really hard to renew the contract of Julian. On the other hand, you have PSG, who are willing to meet the financial demands of Atletico Madrid because, of course, they have infinite money. They have oil money backing them. And, of course, Atletico Madrid didn't want to sell Julian, but if they have to, they would much rather sell him to PSG rather than sell him to us, who's a direct competitor. So right now, the two strong options for Julian is either renew or go to PSG, with Barcelona being a far option because, of course, we're not going to be able to meet the demands of Atletico. And even if we can, again, they prefer to sell to PSG. So given these developments, Barcelona, or I should say Joao Pedro, has now moved into the top target. He is the number one option for Barcelona to reinforce the center forward position. Why is Joao Pedro? For starters, he's someone that Deco has been following for quite some time. Deco is a huge fan of the Brazilian. Second, someone that can score. Very important if you want to be a center forward, right? But third, and this is the more important one, not only can Joao Pedro score, but he can also combine with his teammates. He can press. He can participate in the build-up. He can drop in between lines. He can drop to the wings. He's a mobile nine, a more modern nine, as opposed to someone that just stays in the box waiting for passes. And that's kind of like what Hansi Flick is looking for. Not just someone that can score goals, but someone that can also press, someone that can participate in the build-up, someone that can be part of this, crazy attacking system that Hansi Flick has, which everybody enjoys until we can see the goal, and all of a sudden it's the worst system in the world. But that's neither here nor there. And as such, since Joao Pedro is now the number one option for Barcelona, Deco has now flown to London to meet with the agent of Joao Pedro. Now, Joao Pedro's agent is currently in London because he's going to be attending the FA Cup final between Chelsea and Manchester City. So Deco taking advantage of that to meet with the agent in London to discuss, hey, is your guy interested? What will be the chances to sign him? What would Chelsea say? Now, for now, Chelsea, of course, have said that Joao Pedro is not for sale, but that could change. How? For starters, Chelsea doesn't look like they're going to qualify for any European competitions. And if they do, it's definitely not going to be the Champions League, right? So that right there could be a motive for Joao Pedro to go up to the Chelsea board and say, hey, guys, you guys fucking suck. I want to go. And as such, force Chelsea's hand to try to sell him. The other reason why Chelsea could also cede eventually and agree to the sale of Joao Pedro is that Chelsea have a huge financial fair play problem. Huge. They have spent over 1.5 billion euros these last few seasons. They have pretty much wiped their butts with the financial fair play rules. And this summer, they need to offload players. Otherwise, they're going to be in deep trouble. They can be fined left and right. So Chelsea need to offload players. So if Joao Pedro tells Chelsea, I want to leave because I want to play Champions League and you guys suck, and Chelsea thinks, okay, now we got to sell the player, plus we forced to sell players because of financial fair play, they could end up ceding and agreeing to sell them. Now, Barcelona think that maybe for around 60 to 70 million, some people in the board think it might be 70 to 80 million, this deal could happen, which either way, let's just say 60 to 80. I think that's a pretty good price for someone like Joao Pedro. And if we already had a budget of 100 mil for a center forward, well, we can afford this signing of Joao Pedro. Of course, it's all going to depend on what happens in this meeting. So make sure you're subscribed so I can bring you all the news once we know more about once Deco meets with the agent of Joao Pedro. And my question to you is, Joao Pedro, yes, no, maybe? Let me know in the chat section or in the comment section if you watching this once it ends. All right, let's get back to the comments, and then we're going to talk about Ronald Araujo, and then we'll end this. I'm going to end this a little bit early today just because I'm going to dinner in a little bit. I'm going to have some delicious Middle Eastern food, some kebab, some shawarma, some hummus. Hungry. All right, let's see. Bah. I'm trying not to butcher your name, but I'm probably going to do it anyway. So I apologize in advance. But Chiedunia says, I never really thought of him, but Oyarzabal might not be a bad addition. I think he's above Torres. Now, Oyarzabal is another Ferran Torres, mid-table club player that shines at a mid-table club, just like Abde, just like, what's that guy from Celta Vigo that always turns into prime Messi against us? Oh, my God. I'm blanking on his name, but you know, same thing. Luis Gomez says Antonio Nusa is a good signing. Yeah, he would also cost a lot of money. He would probably cost something around, they're saying 80 to 100. And again, for that much money, I would much rather sign Barcola. Costa says Barcola for 70 mil in this market is a crazy deal. 100% agree. 100% agree. Let's see. Jeffrey says, what do you think of Kun? Oh, wait. Already read this. Duh. Kirko says, hey, Mo. Beskaya from Cameroon. What's up, Beskaya from Cameroon? He was blind to see the aspect of defamation. To him, that was damage control. Let him reap what he has sown. Amen, my friend. Amen. And Batman of Gotham City says, am I the only one who why we buying a CB? We have so many, and our defense is not our issue. We need reinforcement for the attack. Barcola and Osimhen would be perfect. You know, I don't fully disagree with that. I agree. If I had to prioritize, I would definitely prioritize the center forward of the left wing and the left wing, of the center back. Obviously, if you have money for all three, great. Because I think we do need to inject some experience into our defense, because all of our defenders are young, or at least the starting ones. So I think some experience would be nice. But yeah, if I had to choose center forward and left wing, 100% over the center back, because yeah, we have plenty of center backs. We have no center forwards, and of course, left wing we only have one guy, Rafinha, and he's gonna need someone to back him, because look how many injuries he's dealt with during the season. GT says, I am not really sold on Julian Alvarez. I like him, by the way, but I doubt he's the right profile for what we need. Here's my problem with Julian, and it's not him as a player, because I think he's an excellent player, one of the best in the world. But it's not what we need. We need a center forward. And Julian is not. Sure, he plays in that position, but he's not. He's more of a second striker. He's more of even an attacking mid. You know, he's more someone that needs the freedom to move freely behind the front three, right? That's more his role. And I think in that role, he would be fantastic at Barcelona. I mean, him behind Lamine, Rafinha, and whoever we sign for the center forward would be majestic. But that's not what we need, right? So it's not that I have something against Julian, because I think he's an amazing player. It's just not the kind of player that we need right now, right? Kind of like Musiala, for example. Musiala, amazing player, but do we need him? No, we have other profiles. Excuse me, like Musiala. So that's kind of my issue with Julian. El Matabantes says Frankie will never want to leave. Yeah, no, he won't, unfortunately. Money before N says Victor Munoz might have a good partnership with Yamal at the World Cup, kind of like how Nico did. But is he a good option? I mean, he has La Liga experience. Well, the World Cup will tell us, right? I think that, and the good thing is that he does have a release clause worth 40 mil, which means even if he kills it at the World Cup and becomes the top scorer in the history of the World Cup and a top assist provider in the history of the World Cup, and he wins the World Cup and he wins the best player of the World Cup, his value might go up, but his release clause remains at 40 mil. Right, so it doesn't really matter. McBarca says, I would disagree with Frankie next season. We need as many players Frankie would carry in La Liga. We can't afford to lose the quality players. I mean, bro, we got Pedri and Bernal, who could be the starters. We got Gabi, Casado. We have Christensen and Eric. 6 players for those 2 positions. How many more do you need? By the way, Dani Olmo and Fermin can also play in those positions, even though I would much rather they stay in the attacking mid. But I mean, how many more do you need? Not to mention, there's Tommy Marquez knocking on the door of the first team. How many more do you need? Let's see. DJ Amele says, I hope Deco go for Andreas Sheldrup. He's a good choice to reinforce the squad, much better than Rashford and other useless player. I agree, but my only problem, Iago Aspas. Thank you, guys. Iago Aspas. Yeah, so Oyarzabal is another Iago Aspas, is another Ferran, is another, what's that guy from Valencia? The midfielder. Guedes. You know, these are players who are great at their clubs, mid-table clubs. But once they jump into a big team, it's another story. It's not the same being the 9 for Real Sociedad as being the 9 for Barca or Madrid or PSG now, not before because PSG sucked. But yeah. Oh, and as far as Sheldrup, my only fear would be how much Benfica would want, because we know Benfica like to, really charge for their players. But anyways, let's do the last bit of news and then we'll do a few more comments because I do have to leave pretty soon to go eat some dinner. I am hungry. All right, let's see. Let's talk about Ronald Araujo, otherwise known as Ronaldson Araujinho. Just kidding, he's not known by that. That would be his name if he was Brazilian, but he's not. He's from Uruguay. But anyways, let's talk about Ronald Araujo because, ladies and gentlemen, I know a lot of people have wanted him to leave, given, his past performances in the Champions League. However, Barcelona and the player have confirmed that, Araujo is not leaving. And the reason for that, it's because Barcelona don't want him to leave because they appreciate him for several reasons. For starters, reason number 1, his profile. Araujo is a different profile from the rest that we have. Someone that's tall, that's big, that's buff, that's very physical. Your traditional or classic center back. Someone that's good in 1v1 duels. Someone that, will take the ball away from you using his body. Someone that's pretty much undefeated in aerial balls. So, again, that physical profile that we don't really have. A profile that normally it's not what you want starting because, we want center backs who are more technical, who can build from the back, which is not something that Araujo is, but definitely a good profile to have on the bench for example, the final moments of a match where you really need to preserve your lead. You can bring someone like Araujo who is going to defend with everything he got, given the kind of profile that he is. Second reason, we've all seen it, how much the players love him, right? He is a leader on and off the field. All the players talk about it, how he helps others in training. In the locker room, he's a leader, always giving motivational speech, always pushing his teammates. And even when he's sitting on the bench, a lot of times when the camera pans into him, you can see him there on the sideline motivating his teammates. So he's a leader on and off the field. So that's another thing that Barcelona really appreciate of Ronald Araujo. And as such, there is no intention to put him on the market or to sell him. In fact, Hansi Flick also reportedly wants Araujo to stay. And in fact, this past match against Alaves, when he decided to put in Cortés, he actually had a talk with Araujo first and said, hey, look, by the way, I'm going to put this guy. He's been training with us. He hasn't played a single minute, which, of course, goes to show that Flick values Araujo, because otherwise he wouldn't even care. He'd be like, fuck you. I'm going to put that guy. I don't care what you have to think about it. So anyways, no plans of selling Araujo or putting Araujo on the market. Player doesn't want to leave. Flick wants him to stay. The club appreciates him. So it looks like we're going to have Araujo for quite some time. And of course, my question to you is, what do you think about this? I know a lot of you have asked for that sale of Araujo in the past. So let me know down below in the comment section. And now let's go back to the comment section or the chat. And we'll do a few more comments. And now we'll end this live. Let's see. Kevin says, Mo, I think if we get Joao Pedro, Bastoni is definitely not coming. Would you prefer Joao Pedro or Bastoni? Joao Pedro, bro. I prefer any attacker over a center back right now. Obviously, I would rather we sign all three, center forward, left wing, center back. But if I had to choose, I would emphasize the attack. Momo says, hi, Mo. It's really been a while. I miss your podcast. Well, I appreciate you coming back, my friend. I hope you can watch the podcast more often. And Curran says, I wonder if he's the type of striker who could break down low blocks like Luis Suarez did. Joao Pedro, I think he has what it takes to do so. Because, again, he's a very associative. He can combine with his teammates well, and that's always important to break down low block defenders. Said he really did butcher my name, Olga Mo. Anyway, nice response to my opinion. I really do enjoy your channel because of the way you dissect every news, making it fresh every time. Gracias. No, thank you. Thank you for watching. Did you notice how I didn't try to read your name this time around? I didn't want to butcher it twice. Butchering it once is enough. And Besu says, hey, Mo, how you doing? I can't keep up with this Real Madrid drama. They are releasing 3 episodes per day. Hey, you're not wrong. I think Netflix should probably do a show about this because, yeah, what a mess. What a mess. Ferraz says, I think we should put him and Ferran on OnlyFans. Who are you trying to put on OnlyFans? And why? Bro, what's going on? Y'all are crazy, man. Crazy. And McBarca says, I want all of them Dani Olmo fumbles with a rotated team. I've seen fatigue hit the team hard. These fielders don't really show up. Example, Casado, Frankie should be kept in. Prefer to keep all of them. Yeah, but then how you pay all those salaries? I mean, I would love to have 10 goalkeepers and 20 center backs and 50 midfielders and 80 left wingers. But, how do you pay all those salaries? And plus, you could only sign up, 26 players for matches. So, it'd be nice to have so many players, but you're not even going to be able to take all of them to the matches. And you're going to have a Chelsea situation, right, where you have like almost enough players for 3 squads. One for the Premier, one for the Conference League, one for the Cup. I mean, it's crazy. Chelsea, man. Fucking Chelsea. Kevin says, I think a lot of people don't mind Araujo stay as long as he don't play. Oh, man. You guys are mean. You guys are mean. But, hey, I don't blame you. Anyways, that is all, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you guys. Don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe. And, of course, if you're watching this when it ends, don't forget to drop a comment letting me know your thoughts about everything I shared with you. I will be posting another video later tonight. Again, I'm going to dinner right now, so the video will probably not be until 11, 12 p.m. So stay tuned to the channel. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment, and as always, Visca Barça.